Hello, my name is Professor Dr. Ger Graus. I'm a global education advisor and a very big fan of the Children's Media Conference. I'm very happy to be here today, and with me are Ben Mason and Manisha Sundar, who are from My Global Bridge.
Thanks, Ger, and fantastic to be here. So my name's Ben Mason. I'm the founder and CEO at Global Bridge. I was a teacher for 16 years, and essentially the entire platform was built to solve a problem that I had as a teacher, but more importantly was seeing young people having in terms of evidence in their talents beyond just exam grade. So a very quick overview of Global Bridge. It's a hybrid mix of Instagram and LinkedIn for education. We are revolutionising how education evidences talent beyond just exam grades, so skills, character, etc. And then we're looking to transform how industry engages with education and emerging talent. And so we're here hopefully to add some support to schools and young people.
Brilliant, thank you. Manisha, if I may come to you, where do you come in? What's your role? How did you get involved?
Yeah, so my name is Manisha and I'm currently on my gap year. So I finished my A-levels last year and I have been a Global Bridge user since I was, during my time at school. But yeah, now it's nice to kind of be on the other end of it as well, kind of working with Global Bridge as an opportunity research assistant. So it's been really fulfilling to sort of be on that side of the picture as well.
Wow, thank you so much. Ben, what has been the reaction from the business world, the employer world, so to speak?
So I think the process for employers is a great one because it is meeting their need in terms of again, fair access, but it's also improving how they hire emerging talent and get the right young people into their workplace.
Yeah, that's of course very true. Manisha, if I could take you back in time, it's not very long, but just take you back in time in terms of when you were the user, what did you showcase that you wouldn't have done? And then finally also linked to that is, what advice would you give to people who are 18, 19 or so at the moment?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question because from a user's perspective, I think I've benefited a lot from just being able to build those skills of promoting myself. And I think it's quite underrated, I think, as a student as well, especially in school, you're going through your 7 years constantly doing things and building your skill sets. However, you don't get that opportunity, or no one really urges you or pushes you to kind of see how can you articulate that in a way that people can understand and people can kind of understand where you're coming from and the value that you can contribute. So I think from a student's perspective, it's those skills that's preparing you. So no one's going to tell you to do things necessarily. You've got to kind of take the initiative to put yourself out there if you want some opportunities. So I think it kind of builds a perfect bridge to sort of work your way throughout school, be confident putting yourself out there, and then finally stepping out there and continuing that.
I'm a great believer in this, and that also, Ben, leads me to the next question, really. Do our young people lack aspiration? So, Manisha, in your terms, what did you see that you hadn't seen before?
Recently, I was lucky to get into an Accenture work experience program for 1 week, and I found that through Global Bridge actually. So having the opportunity to go down to London, have a week to kind of have some amazing sessions with the company and get work experience in a consulting firm that I'm potentially interested in to do in the future. I think having opportunities like that, I wouldn't have come across myself.
Your point there is really pertinent. I think there is a question that all of us who work in or with media need to ask ourselves, which is about the potential of the use of media in that horrible phrase leveling up, right? But there is something about leveling playing fields, and I think personally media has a very important role to play in this, but then the media needs to be able to put itself in the shoes of others before it produces. It needs to understand. Do you think that us oldies I include your teachers in that, for example, and many people in the world of work. Do you think that we're keeping up?
I don't think you're oldies, but...
You're very kind.
But I would say it's something that from both sides it requires some sort of attention, because there are things that young people can bring to the table and, other people with more experience can bring to the table. So I think it's a joint effort to see what young people actually require and need and what we look for, but as well as that, getting the experience of people who've got years in the industries. So sort of combining the skills I think is important. So I don't think you can have one without the other to make more meaningful change, really.
But the dynamics in terms of the project Learn, the dynamics between teacher and learner change. That's what you're saying. Yeah, because it's more about cooperation. It's more about listening to each other rather than one has all the knowledge and the other writes it down.
Yes, exactly, because I feel like now teachers are listening more to students about what we need and the requirements, because it's not like you just teach and then you have passive kind of consumers. I think it goes both ways, and I think we're starting to understand that kind of cooperation, as you mentioned. So yes, I think the dynamics are changing because we're trying to adapt to a changing world as well. So it requires effort from both ends, and I think the dynamics are changing. So yeah.
So what advice, I suspect that this would be one of the bits of the advice, what advice would you give to the wider Children's Media Conference in terms of not just My Global Bridge, but in terms of technology, media, how the product is created?
We know that media and technology and socials is just growing at a huge rate, and even without getting into it, even with the development of things like ChatGPT, schools saying, "Oh, is it going to impact our school?" It already has, and yes is the answer. Bill Gates, for example, at the ASU GSV conference in America recently claimed that ChatGPT was going to replace teachers, and he was booed off the stage. And it's that's not the answer. It's around how teachers can use the best of these technologies to support their learners. It's not about anybody being replaced. It's about how we support and create that supportive network to the priority group, which is the young people. And so for Global Bridge, this was built for young people, and everybody else is a beneficiary of the output of that. But first and foremost, it was built to ensure that young people have an inclusive way for them to evidence their talents using the breadth of different forms of media. And I think that's got to be a priority focus for anybody in the media world wanting to engage young people or education as a whole.
Thank you so much for being here. Good luck. You are now forever friends of the Children's Media Conference.